Claire Henriette Larocque was born in Maintenon, France on the 1st of August 1885. Her parents were Estelle Colombel and Auguste Larocque. They worked with their brother and sister Louis Colombel and Henriette Larocque on a transport business between the railway station and Routière Maintenon. She grew up with her cousin Louise and Henri. Claire is on the left, followed by Henri, Marie and Louise. She had two sisters, Marie, born in 1887 and died aged 10, and Berthe, who was born in 1894. She went to a convent school in Maintenon. This is a photo of Berthe in that very same school. She had received an education, and she had written some beautiful books that Nick still has. She married Jules Poitvin in 1907, and it was a double wedding, with Louise marrying Henri Poitvin. The Poitvin brothers ran retail businesses in Paris. Henri controlled it in Paris, Jules controlled it in Maintenon, and also in the picture is Émile and Léon. They had their first daughter, Marguerite, in 1911. 2 years later, Paul was born in 1913. The First World War started shortly afterwards, and Jules went to serve as a nurse in the hospital of Cézanne. That's him on the left with Monsieur Écharpe and Georges Dupont on the far right-hand side, a cousin. During this time, relatives like Jeanne Dupont had fled Paris and stayed in Maintenon. In this photo there is Jules at the back with the two mothers Claire and Jeanne, and then from the left Suzanne, Paul, Marguerite and Madeleine. Madeleine is my godmother Denise's mother. Then sometime around 1922, Claire and Jules bought a farm, Marqueville, which is situated 44 kilometres west towards Brozol. I suspect this suited Claire, as from my experience of her as a child and speaking to my godmother Denise, she felt most at home tending a farm and making preserves. They sent Marguerite and Paul to boarding school, and then in 1924 Rene was born. This clip was filmed around about 1935 by the Poitvin brothers, and it shows a reunion between the brothers, Claire's family and the Duponts. It's probably filmed at Brozol, I think. If we stop it here, we can see Maurice on the left, Pierre coming out of the car, Suzanne, Claire, Paul, and then Marguerite kissing her father Jules on the right hand side. The Poitvin brothers came to help with the harvest in the summer, a change from running their shops in Paris. But I knew them, I knew the Duponts. Basically, it was a very extended family where everyone was meeting up all the time and very friendly. If I stop it here, starting from the left, there's Suzanne, Maurice, Henri, then Claire kissing Louise, André, Jules, Émile, Paul, Pierre, and then Claire kissing her son, Rene. Here we see Claire picking vegetables with her cousin Louise, but they felt like sisters as they were brought up together. Here we see Claire skinning a rabbit. I often saw my grandmother Marguerite do the same thing, but it sums up Claire. She was most at home being a farmer's wife, getting her hands dirty, making preserves. She wasn't scared of hard work. In 1938, they left Marqueville and moved into a small farm in Remelard, which is 45 kilometres southwest. I remember going there with my brother. So what sort of person was she? I only knew her in her 80s. The person who knew her when she was younger was my godmother Denise, so I interviewed her and asked her a few questions.
C'était une dame qui n'était pas souriante,
Ouais.
qui n'était pas souriante et qui n'était pas commode.
That's how I remember her as well. My grandmother said she was strict with her and Paul, but much softer and easier with Rene. This is another story of her told by Denise.
À côté de la maison où ils habitaient, il y avait une maison de bonne sœur, où était la tante, la tante Florestine Dupont. Elle était là, chez les sœurs, pour faire la fin de sa vie. Et ton arrière-grand-mère Claire m'a dit « Va donc voir ta tante ». J'ai dit « D'accord, je vais voir ma tante ». Alors je suis arrivée chez les bonnes sœurs, et les bonnes sœurs m'ont dit « Qui vous venez voir ?» Je dis « Je viens voir ma tante ». « Qui est votre tante ?»« Qui est ma tante ?»« Qu'est-ce que tu voulais que je dise ?» Alors j'ai réfléchi une minute, et puis je lui ai répondu « C'est Madame de Gossec ». « Ah, Madame de Gossec, on ne connaît pas. »« Connaît pas, me dit la bonne sœur. » Je dis « Vous connaissez pas ?»« Non. » Mais je dis « Mais enfin, c'est la dame que vient voir Madame Poitvin à côté. »« Ah oui, elle me dit, elle s'appelle Madame Dupont. » Je dis « Oui, c'est ça. » Et quand je suis ressortie de chez les bonnes sœurs, j'ai donc été voir ma tante, quand je suis ressortie de chez les bonnes sœurs, ta grand-mère a été ensuite, enfin ton arrière-grand-mère a été ensuite par les bonnes sœurs. Et quand elle est revenue, j'ai reçu un savon de ton arrière-grand-mère parce que j'étais irrespectueuse, que je n'appelais pas les gens par leur nom et ceci et cela. Parce que Madame de Gossec, pour moi, c'était le nom que mon père donnait aux tantes parce qu'il ne savait pas les reconnaître. Alors il leur donnait le nom de la rue où elles habitaient. Et la tante, comment on l'appelle ?
Florestine.
La tante Florestine, la tante Titine, c'était comme ça que moi je l'appelais. La tante Titine, eh ben, elle habitait rue de Gossec à Paris, et moi quand j'allais la voir et que j'étais petite, j'allais voir la tante Titine, c'était Madame de Gossec. Ta grand-mère, ton arrière-grand-mère m'en a fait une histoire invraisemblable.
So she didn't have a sense of humour, but she lived through harsh times, 2 world wars, the depressions of the 30s. I think she just concentrated and tried to make the best of her life at the time. The only hobby she had was knitting. She knitted a couple of jumpers for me, but she didn't read, she didn't play music, she did no other pastimes that I can remember. She did make cider, which wasn't very nice, according to my father, and she made a cheese called a carré de l'Est, which supposedly was very good. We stop the film here. We see Madame Plançon on the left-hand side, Pierre, then my mother, Marie-Claire, then Monsieur Plançon, my godfather, Marguerite, and then Claire, my great-grandmother, on the far right. This film was shot by my father in Mormont, where my grandparents lived, and we're probably having a réveillon, a midnight feast, for Christmas. The only clear memory I have of her was she had stubble, so when I kissed her it wasn't very nice, and I tried desperately to avoid it. Jules, her husband, was the mainstay of her life, but he died just before I was born in 1955. In 1965 she fell down the stairs in Remoulins and was stuck there for a morning, so we moved her to an old people's home in Mormont. She died in 1977, but if she was with us now, I think she'd most like to be remembered on the farm with her beloved Jules.